judging me, it just means I know how to shut up when he's working on my life. Stay with me. Stay with me. It's showing me something here. And they begin to spread rumors. Ezekiel and Daniel and them and all them are being judged by God. They're under God's judgment and should be rejected, they say. Don't touch them. Don't talk about them. Don't talk about them good. But talk about them, but not good. They spread rumors. If God really loved them, they would not be going through this. If God really loved them, they would not be facing this. Well, now, Minister Scriber, somebody ain't reading the words. Because the Bible says he's chasing those who... And every now and then I can use a good weapon just to know that God loves me. Somebody ain't reading the word. And I have to realize this and conclude. Just give me a couple of minutes here. I have to conclude that. And I know he knows exactly what he's doing. And because he's doing what he's doing in my life, then I realize that he's causing me not to live beneath my means. I'm doing this because you ain't going to be the same old. Oh, no. I'm doing this because I'm raising your worship. I'm doing this because that's 2013 praise. We need 2014. I'm stretching you because you prayed twice this week. You're going to pray 3 times today. I'm not going to let you live beneath your means, because if you understood exactly what happened to you, you would not settle for anything but victory in Jesus. Are y'all with me? Now, they spread these rumors that they were taken under God's judgment, and they should be rejected. So those who were exiled were now feeling, watch out now, they were feeling that their covenant relationship with God was only tied to the promised land, was only tied to, and they were exiled and only tied to a certain spot here. They were now being a little shaken in their faith because the people kept saying God's judging them. Because if God loved them, they would not go through. If God loved them, their son wouldn't have done that. If he loved them, they wouldn't have lost their job. If God really loved them, they wouldn't be crying like that. If God, wait a minute, I'm crying because he does love me. I'm crying because he's doing what he needs to do for me, in me, through me, and by him. And so now they spread this rumor. And you know what? Get to a point where you need to tell somebody, talk about me if you please. They used to say the old way, the more you talk about me, the more I'm going to fall on my knees, because I realize I'm closer to heaven on my knees than staying up running away from my sin. They rejected here. And now they're feeling as if their relationship with God has been dismantled, and because they were dispersed and in difficult situations, they began to feel, based on what people were saying, that God was causing judgment on them. And now, because they started to think that their hope in God and God's movement was tied to a land, they begin to think that because they're cut off, and because they're away from Jerusalem, or away from the presence or the temple of God, that God has cut them off. Their theological error came from thinking God had kept himself in a box. And so we have to be careful here, because we think because I'm not here, then God can't answer me. Sometimes we think because I'm not here, and what am I going to do from Monday to Tuesday? And thank God for Wednesday. But what I'm going to do from Thursday to Saturday if I'm not here? And so now they spread this rumor that because they're away from the land, God was judging them. Because it was this ill thinking. This ill thinking, this theological error that God was only dwelling in a box. that God was only in that land. They began to think crazy here, that God was held captive. Now, some hold him captive, but the God I serve, you better look back in that box. He only going to be as big as you let him to be. But the God I serve is everywhere at the same time and acting differently in different. Y'all better stay with me. And so now they begin to weep because they thought that, God, if we're away from you, we're away from you here. You're held in the Ark of the Covenant. Now what do we do? That he was limited to the land and the temple made by hands. Now, you got to be careful here because I know you saying, I wouldn't act like that. Yes, you would. If everything was flowing in the temple and God would answer by clouds and fire, and if he moved when you were in the temple, what would you start to think if you were driven away? If I don't get back to the temple, then it feel like all hell was going to break loose in my life because God is dwelling near. But they was holding him hostage. So the Lord not only wanted them to see the deportation was a divine work. Okay, this is where I'm going to give you two points here. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to preach it, teach it, and then I'm going to shout. So the Lord now not only wanted them, Israel, to see those who were deported, that their deportation was divine work. He also began to reveal the Emmanuel principle. Oh, wow. Wait a minute. You got to remember, Jesus already had the instructions. And before the foundation of the world wasn't ready for him in the Old Testament. Doesn't mean he was not going to tell them what was coming down the pipes. What God was showing them, that they're exiling from there because he was judging there. That's why he exiled. And exiles. And because they had the exit out of there, God was judging that land. And so actually where they were staying was being judged. But not only was he showing them that their deportation was divinely, that's why I can say a good man's steps are ordered by the Lord. Because their deportation was divinely directed. But also, here's God. Not only gives you one lesson, he gives you 10 in one test. Not only God will add favor, but he adds blessings with favor along with some chastisement, some love, some grace, and a little bit of mercy on the side. Here he is now. Here he is. Watch out now, because my deportation is divinely worked out. Okay, all right, now, can I tell you some people that you had to leave alone? Listen, no, it's not you. It was God. Listen, it doesn't matter how hard you try to get back. You can't even find your way back because that deportation was divinely. Okay. Now, it's funny. This is what he was trying to show them. Not only is the deportation divine, but then also he wanted to introduce, look at God, throwing something on the side. He wanted to introduce Emmanuel principle, which means God is with us. Wait a minute. He's showing them something. Because the Old Testament symbols were only types and shadows, which will cause you to now look for the real thing. I can work with these types and shadows, but guess what? There's going to be a time when I'm going to look for the real thing. The comfort was when Ezekiel prayed. Remember when he said Pelatiah, the son of Benaiah, died. He said, I fell on my face and I began to weep and say, Lord, is the whole remnant going to fall like this? The Lord said, this will be a good time to introduce Emmanuel. This is going to be a good time. This is going to be a good time. Right when you in that valley, this is going to be a good time to show you I am not just that. I'm this, that, and some more. You know what? This will be a good time to show you I am who I say I am. And no devil in hell can stop the power introduces them. The devil is a liar. Oh, he's a liar, and the truth is not in him. He introduced them the Emmanuel principle. Who is Emmanuel? Emmanuel, Isaiah talked about it. But who is Emmanuel? Emmanuel meaning God is with us. He wanted them to see this Emmanuel principle to those who were troubled. Because if you are troubled, you begin to forget promises. If you are troubled, your prayer begins to challenge. If you're in trouble, you begin to wonder, what is God doing? So now they're troubled. They're wondering, based on what people are saying, is God, did the Lord tell you he was doing that? Is God judging me? Is he beating me for something I didn't know? Can I tell you something? Every beating I got, I knew exactly what I did. Oh, no. He is not a child abuser. No, he's not. He's my father. And he knows exactly what I need when I need it and how I need. Y'all stay with me. Did I give y'all a point yet? Emmanuel. He introduced this principle at a good time because now they are exiled. No more lessons, no more. I'm still trying to figure out what's going on, Emmanuel. God is with us. Wait a minute now, because they were troubled because God is in the covenant box. Because God is in the temple. Y'all with me? Wait a minute. God is at hear the word, and that's all. No, he was in my car. Did you know that? He rode with me on my way to hear the word. And then he was at hear the word. He's going to get back in my car after he leaves my office, go back home for me and my wife. Wake me up if it's his will. He is not in just one place. He is Emmanuel. So David asked this question. I got you right where I want you. David asked this question in Psalms 139. He asked a question and he declared. He says, where shall I go from thy spirit, or whither shall I flee from thy presence? If I ascend up into heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, you are there. If I take the wings of the morning and try to fly away from here and dwell in the othermost parts of the sea, even there shall thy hand lead me, and thy right hand shall hold me. Okay, I got a point for you, but let me just explain this. David said it didn't matter where I was going, you were there. But Jesus is not on the scene. He's going to show you what Jesus is going to do. Wait a minute. Hold on. If I'm in heaven, you there. Have y'all ever figured it out yet? You can't run from God. Have you figured it out yet? Have you figured that out yet? That you cannot run from God? He says, if I'm in heaven, you there. If I go to hell, you there. If I own my job, you there. If I had wings like a bird and fly away just to be at rest, you there. If I wanted to give up, you there. If I'm on a mountaintop, you there. I realize that you lead me and not me lead. Okay, write this point down. It's amazing. It's prayer. You remember he prayed. He prayed and God answered, but not in the way he thought. God answered. He prayed. Oh, God. That's what he said. Pelatiah is dead. Shall you allow the other remnant to fall apart? And the Lord spoke to him, not in the manner that he was looking for. That's why sometimes just hush. God may be trying to tell you something. Not what you're trying to hear, what you need to hear. He says, Lord, shall you shall you do unto us as this remnants. Lord, it felt like and seems like everything is falling apart. Shall I be part of that? The Lord said this is a good time for you to see the shadow to come. And so now he begins in prayer. He begins to pray. Now notice, let me tell you something here about Ezekiel. That boy prayed all the time. He prophesied all the time. And I remember one time when Ezekiel was going through. I'm sorry, his wife died. The Lord said, don't show no remorse. Don't show no expression. Go back out there and plan. And give your... Now, wait a minute. Wait a minute. What kind of God we serve. He was showing Israel, even in the midst of sorrow, I still bring... Can I tell you something? It doesn't mean no matter what I go through, God is still wonderful. I need you to know that. Just because I am in a difficult situation doesn't mean God's difficult to serve. He's still good all by him. Somebody say preach. You know you on another level when you being twisted and turned and bent over backwards and you still say, God, you good. You on a total different level when everything feel like it's falling apart and it seems like you're over your head in water and you can still pray the prayer of someone who's humble. Look at somebody say, he going with me. Okay, write this point down. You have to write this. Write this down. Write this down, and you need to know this, but write this down. Don't just write stuff just to write it. Write it, go back, and dwell on it. And thank God for speaking on Sunday. In January, in this series, for me at that time, with what I may be facing or may have to face. Okay, write this down. Write this down. I'm right where God placed me. Now, that's going to be hard here. But I'm going to show you in the exile. Say, I'm right where God placed me. See, I just told Ms. Scriber up in the office. I said, those things that we think are ugly could be good. And those things that we think are good could be ugly. I can think not going through nothing and everything is flowing is good, but to God it could be ugly. Because if you're not serving me and not letting me direct your path, it's going to be an ugly week this week. And then I could be going through something and I think it's ugly, and God said that's good. Because I'm going to show you something out of what you think is ugly, how wonderful it is to be able to go through and be called a servant of the most. Look at somebody and say, it's not ugly, it's good. Okay. Now, listen, now. I'm right where God placed me. I'm right where God placed me. Look at verse 16. Verse 16, it says this. Therefore, thus said the Lord God. Now, he spoke. Everybody, he's speaking now. You need to know this because it's gonna help you understand the point I just gave you. Verse 16, he says, thus said the Lord God, although I have cast them afar off or far among the heathen, and although I have scattered them, talking about those who are in exile. Although I scattered them among the countries. Okay, we got to stop right there. So I'm right where he placed me. See. Listen, y'all understand about children. Children of God. He places me right there. I'm not running around like one who don't have a father. No, I'm not a bastard. I got a father who places me right where, don't you know where I am right now? I'm right where I need. Who can question God and say, this is not the right place? You can't even question yourself. So let's all come together and agree that we are right where we need to. I scattered them. That's ugly, no? I took them off that job. I moved you out that neighborhood. I caused that to happen. I allowed you to get a cold. Because you did your best reading when you were on your back sick. Now you should understand the lesson that was attached to that. That when I get well, I need to keep up what I did. I've never been so humble until I had to be humble. But I promise myself that when I come out of this, I'm going to know how to act with victory. Don't you know? Every time you talk to me, I say, bless the Lord. I'm programmed to say that. Pastor, you doing it? You got it? Bless the Lord. Pastor, the church people, bless the Lord. I have been programmed to say that because anything other than that is uncivilized. I've been programmed to bless the Lord at all times. I ain't getting this. His praises shall continually. All means all in the Greek. I scattered them. Doesn't matter what they say. I scattered them among the countries. Right where God placed me. Don't estimate your state by the opinions of someone else. Because they began to spread rumors that God was judging Ezekiel and the others. So don't estimate your state by the opinions of someone else. Because who called you God? It may look to you like this, but I will assure you is not that. Tell me what you think, or what you think you know. If you knew what you said you knew, you would be on your face worshiping God. You would not be in my business. I know you don't know what you're doing because you're in my business. Because my business is God's business. And if your business is my business, you ain't doing God's business. Somebody say free. Don't estimate your state by the opinions of others. Although it may seem as if his hand is hidden. Listen. Although it may seem as if his hand is hidden, our safety proves that he is powerful. See, y'all, okay, y'all need to get this now. Now, listen. Even though it seemed as if God's hand is hidden to you, me coming today should show you he knows exactly. Y'all ain't get that. Y'all didn't get that. You didn't understand that. It seemed like he didn't know what he was doing. It seemed like he was bringing judgment. Can I tell you how powerful our God is? I'm here. That proved that I serve a powerful God. Because you thought the last storm was going to take me out. I can prove to you God is powerful. Because I'm. Look at somebody say, I'm here. I'm right here. need any more proof? Wait till tomorrow if it's his will. And if I'm here, that's more proof that he is. Now, not only me being here proves that he is powerful, but me being here lets you see that he's working in my weakness and answering my prayer. See, I know that wasn't the answer you thought about me, but see, let me tell you something. Can I prove to you he's powerful? Because he's working in my weakness and he answered my prayer. The Lord can grant an answer when you seek him with your whole heart, wherever you find yourself. Okay, that's going to be key. Now, he was showing them Emmanuel. He was telling them no matter where you go. I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to prove it to you because y'all looking all twisted up here. Now, I know you got a football game to watch, but Emmanuel. Did that shut it down? If not, God is in the place. You think I want to leave God? No. Emmanuel. And now it's funny because he scattered them. He dispersed them, those difficult situations. Now, one day we all leave here. One day we all, when in service is dismissed, I ain't going with you. I'm going to my own place. And I may need God my way. But I thank God we serve the same God. Are y'all with me so far? And so now the Lord will grant us an answer if we have a pure heart, a heart of humility, that no matter where we find ourselves, Emmanuel, he's trying to show them that. But that's just a type here. He's trying to show them you're right where I placed you, because I scattered you. I got you out that mess. I got tired of them talking about you. That's why I got you. I got tired of them. I had to shut their mouth what they saying about my child. I had to move you. Even though you didn't want to move yourself, I moved. Because that mess will affect your destiny. Can I tell you, I got a purpose in my life, and my way to destiny is by means of prayer. I took you away from the temple and away from the box. So that you don't think and hinder your own prayers. I put you on the edge so you can tell others he's on the edge. I took that from you and gave you something better so you can tell somebody the Lord giveth and the Lord, but blessed be the name. My job to protect the poor. Point two. Question what I'm doing, and then I realize I'm right where I'm supposed to be. Because I didn't even know where I was supposed to be. I just know it didn't agree with my flesh, then I'm at the right place. Because if it agrees with your flesh, you are at the wrong. Because most of the places I get in the Lord, I have to ask myself, should I be here? Y'all stay with me. This is just one of those messages, you know. And so now he draws them away from their false prayer partners. He draws them away from those who religiously showing one thing but doing another. Wait a minute, I didn't see that. I know I am the answer and I am your shepherd. He takes them away. Okay, point 2. He scattered them. He scattered them. Verse 15, they was talking about him. They said, get away from us. Y'all don't understand that. Now, the devil knows when you're anointed. Because he's going to start running his mouth. Oh, here she comes. She's going to start praying. Look, all that stuff on that desk. Look at, they always talk about the Lord. Then I know exactly what the devil is, and I know how to pray. The devil knows that you're anointed. You know why? Because when those demons saw Jesus, they said, do you come to destroy? I know I got that power. I got that type of power that when I walk on my job, I let the enemy know, guess who's on the scene? Every now and then, before you get in your office, you need to be in the car and say, Jesus is in the building, and we're coming, and we're going to shake things. Don't you know the devil been trying to put you on his playing ground? That's why there was no coffee in the coffee maker. That's why they ate the last donut. That's why they was talking about you on a Monday morning, because the devil's trying to get you on his playing field. But when you get in the car, you need to yell out a prayer and say, God, you are in the... I ain't getting... Have you ever been on a job and as soon as you get to your boss say, I don't want to see you in my office, and try to throw you off? You need to recognize I'm not going to get on your playing field. I need to pray. Okay, point 2. Point 2. Point 2. Point 2. Checkpoints are not designed for you to check out, but to check in. Checkpoints are not designed for you to check out, but to check in. I think I said this at Bible study. Have you noticed everything you go through throughout the day, there's always been a time to pray? It was not designed for you to check out. I ain't getting that. I could be on my way to some place and need to be there on time, and I run into traffic. Check in. I'm on my way to work, and I slept late. Check in. I ain't getting that. Checkpoints are not designed for you to check out, but now, okay, where can we put this? No, where can we find this? For life application. Yeah, will I be them? We haven't got to that yet. In the countries where they shall go. So there are some places you're going. But they're not designed for you to check out. Y'all ain't getting that. Yes. Listen. I'm scattering them among the countries. Yet I will be to them. We haven't gotten it yet. But in the countries where you shall come. So you need to check in. Okay, let me say this because I don't know if y'all got that yet. But you can be in the best circumstance without God and never find peace. But you can be in the worst circumstance with God and never lack peace. If only you check in. Okay. Point 3. There's not enough time in the world for me to share the gospel of Jesus Christ. There's not enough time, Deacon Thomas. There's not enough time. I don't want to wear out your patience because I can do it. I know. But Pastor, we got to go to work. I understand. But we got to go to work. I got to get my clothes out for tomorrow. But tomorrow is a thought. But the day you hear my voice. Okay, all right. But we shall do things in the leading of the Holy Spirit in decency and order. Okay, now, point 3. This is just a declaration to yourself. Wherever I go, the Lord goes with me. Okay, you just need. Now, where do we see that, Pastor? He says, listen, even though I scattered you away from the box and away from the temple, I will be to them a little sanctuary. Wait a minute. Let me grasp this thing together. You mean in my storm, I don't have to run to hear the word Bible church? I got my sanctuary. Emmanuel. Wherever I go. That's a declaration because, listen, even though God's everywhere, you don't have to take him there. Come on. Well. And some of us, in our actions, in our fleshly ways, will let God know he's trespassing. Come on, God. Say it again. Oh, here we go now. Wherever I go, he goes. He said, I will be to them as a little sanctuary. Now, because it's shadows, it's types. Now, not knowing that the temporary fixture where God was dwelling was not the only place God dwelled. Have you noticed they will pack up and move, and some thought they were packing God up with them. No. He was showing them a type that you will be led by one thing, which is one person. And wherever I take you, you follow. Are y'all with me so far here? Now, so wherever I go, he's going with me. And the way you're going to know that is wherever you go, whatever country you find yourself in, I will be to you. Some people have a sanctuary of God in college. Some have in a storm. Some have it in a store. Some have it home. But one thing I know, Emmanuel. Okay. Now, let me see how we can get to this point here. Now, because the sanctuary in the Old Testament was a dwelling place. It was a place of refuge where God is present. It was a place that they ran to. They worship at that temple. And it was the central place of their spiritual well-being. They all saw oneness. And if that place was not erected, then they'll wait for it to be erected. It was the dwelling place, a place of worship. The location was in the center of the camp. And it was guarded against unlawful approach. Y'all got to stay with me here. Because there are some demons that want to take God off the throne. That's why I have to guard myself. Just like the temple here. It was in the center of what they were doing. If God is on the side, you live in. Now listen, they categorized themselves in the forms of the tribes, and the temple was in the center. that as long as God is in the head of my life, it does not matter. And my job is to make sure the enemy don't snatch. Okay, all right, now, let me just tell you the sanctuary so that you understand this, and then I'll let you, I promise you can go. It was the temple, it was the sanctuary. This is probably why they thought that God was judging them, because in the temple, they worship in the temple. In that place, they worship there. It was a place of prayer. In the temple, it was a place of prayer. It was a place of cleansing. A place of communion, a place of comfort. And there was a mercy seat there. Now, and the mercy seat and all this. Here the Lord showing up, showing that this is a type of what's going to dwell with you forever. But you have to know there's communion there. There's cleansing there. There's